quiet suburban calm of Medicine Hat, Alberta, nothing seemed capable of shaking the neighborhood's safety. The Richardson family lived an ordinary life, steady routines, friendly neighbors, and a warm household built on rules, structure, and love. But in April 2006, that sense of normality collapsed into one of the most chilling crimes in Canadian history. And at the center of it all was a 12-year-old girl, Jasmine Richardson. Jasmine had once been like any other middle schooler, artistic, intelligent, and navigating the awkward years between childhood and the teenage world she desperately wanted to join. But as she hit adolescence, she began experimenting with darker aesthetics, goth fashion, heavy makeup, and an identity that felt rebellious and exciting. Her parents, Mark and Deborah Richardson, worried, but believed it was just a phase. Everything changed when Jasmine met Jeremy Steinke, a 23-year-old man who lived inside his own gothic fantasy world. Dressed in trench coats, steeped in vampire mythology, and claiming supernatural identities, Jeremy was an unsettling figure to adults, but to Jasmine, who felt misunderstood and restricted, he seemed powerful, dramatic, and thrilling. Their relationship escalated with dangerous speed. Secret online messages and MySpace exchanges swept her deeper into Jeremy's orbit. When her parents discovered the relationship, they were horrified by the age gap. Jasmine was 12, Jeremy was 23, and they immediately forbid her from seeing him. They thought they were protecting their daughter. Instead, unknowingly, they pushed her straight into the darkest decision of her life. From that moment, Jasmine and Jeremy positioned themselves as lovers torn apart by controlling parents. They created online personas where they were villains, rebels, even killers in fictional stories. Slowly, the fantasy sharpened into a plan. Jeremy began suggesting that the only thing standing between them and freedom was Jasmine's family. Terrifyingly, Jasmine didn't reject the idea. She leaned into it. The messages became clearer. The drawings became darker. Friends overheard Jeremy talking about hurting the Richardsons. And online, Jasmine posted chilling references that hinted at what she was considering. By the time April arrived, the plan had already been silently set. April 23, 2006, was an ordinary spring evening. But once the sun set, the house on the quiet street became the setting of a crime no one could have predicted. According to police reconstruction and testimony, Jeremy Steinke approached the Richardson home late that night. Jasmine remained upstairs, aware of what was about to unfold. Jeremy entered the house quietly, armed with knives they had agreed upon beforehand. Mark and Deborah, taken entirely by surprise, were attacked in their home before they could even understand what was happening. Jeremy carried out the violence with cold determination, fulfilling the plan he had convinced Jasmine was necessary. Upstairs, 8-year-old Jacob Richardson heard the commotion. Frightened, he stayed in his room, confused and alone. And that was when Jasmine took her own step into the pact. She went to her brother's room. In Jasmine's mind, influenced heavily by Jeremy and their conversations, Jacob was considered a witness who might tell authorities what happened. Investigators determined that Jasmine participated directly in ending his life. It was the part of the story that disturbed officers the most. A 12-year-old child assisting in the destruction of her entire family. Perhaps the most unsettling detail of the entire case was what Jasmine and Jeremy did immediately after the killings. There was no panic, fear, or shock. Instead, they cleaned up, left the house calmly, and walked through the neighborhood under the night sky as if nothing horrific had taken place inside the Richardson home. They went straight to a friend's house, where witnesses later reported seeing them kissing, laughing, and talking about running away together. Jeremy bragged vaguely about doing something big, though no one grasped the meaning until the next day's news reports. Soon after, the pair fled to Leader, Saskatchewan, planning their new life together, buying snacks, writing affectionate notes, and hiding with acquaintances. Their behavior was disturbingly calm and celebratory. When police tracked them down less than 24 hours later, Jeremy leaned further into his dark persona, telling officers the murders brought him and Jasmine closer. Jasmine showed little outward emotion. For investigators, the lack of remorse was as haunting as the crime itself. Back in Medicine Hat, the horror unfolded when a friend of Jacob's came to the house the next morning and saw something through the window that made him recoil in shock. His mother called the police immediately. Inside the Richardson home, officers found Mark and Deborah downstairs and Jacob in his room. Jasmine was missing, prompting fears of a kidnapping, until clues led investigators to suspect she wasn't a victim, but involved. Within hours, the truth began to surface. Jeremy was convicted of 3 counts of first-degree murder and received a life sentence with no chance of parole for 25 years. Because of her age, Jasmine was prosecuted under Canada's Youth Criminal Justice Act. She received the maximum youth sentence, 10 years total, 4 years in custody, and 6 years of supervision and treatment. She completed her sentence in 2016 and reportedly started a new life under a different identity. But the town of Medicine Hat never forgot. The case remains one of Canada's most disturbing reminders that darkness can grow quietly, through isolation, manipulation, and a child's vulnerability twisted into something unimaginably destructive.